what's up, brothers? I'm Instinct.
And I'm Vibe.
And recently we did something really cool.
Yeah, something truly amazing, because we had some special training, definitely with the word special in it. But first of all, why did we do this? Because as you may know and follow us for a while, we have what we call our sections.
And they are divided in maintenance, equipment and training. Our maintenance and equipment section are already full of videos, so you can always go and check that out. But our training section kind of like that.
Yeah, and the thing is, this video is actually the introduction towards that training section for you guys, because we now have a source of information and knowledge to share that with you.
The guy is called Instructor Delta, and he's actually a former Special Forces operator from the Georgian military.
So let's talk a bit of how we met this guy.
So as you may have noticed, we have quite a big Instagram profile, which Instructor Delta also noticed, and he decided to contact us through direct message, saying that he was building a professional airsoft team, which we were also doing.
So we decided to meet up with him. He lives in Luxembourg and we live in Belgium, which are two countries next to each other, lucky us.
Yeah.
So we decided to meet in between and had a little chat about what we do, what our plans for the future are. He also mentioned us that he learned a lot with special forces in the military back when he was younger. He told us that he learned about shooting, about bushcraft,
survival,
krav, maga, survival, all that stuff. So that sounded really interesting to us, and we had a lot of common ground regarding the airsoft military world, all that stuff. So we decided to stay in contact with each other
and help each other out where we could. And he also mentioned us that if we ever wanted to train with him, that's also a possibility. So of course that sounded great to us. And once we got home, we took contact with some of the people we know in order to find a field. And after a while we also did find a field, so we went to check it out.
This field is actually quite close to us. It features a 50-meter range, which you've already seen in some of our previous videos about the testing of guns and such. But besides that, there is also an indoor part, which is used to be a 25-meter range, which is no longer in use. It's a lot wider than the 50-meter range, so we decided to
do our training sessions over there
and build our location there.
So we immediately told that to Instructor Delta, and he drew a construction plan of how a realistic indoor field or building should look like. So once we received those plans, we went to our buddy Woody, and together with him we decided to build the plans of what Instructor Delta has drawn.
So after that, when the location was finished, we contacted Delta for a training session, and we did. So
let's talk about what we expected.
Yeah. So firstly, we expected a lot of professionalism,
which definitely was the case.
Yeah, absolutely, especially from someone like that. The second thing was that we expected to have some things clarified that were quite unclear to us, especially because when we trained on our own, it was more like discussing stuff instead of actually doing some training. Sometimes just overthinking stuff. And
so he clarified that all.
Yeah, and then the third thing was that we would actually learn new stuff, which was absolutely the case. And it doesn't necessarily have to be crazy special forces shit you think only these guys would know. No, it sometimes just comes down to truly the basics of how you manage your gun and your body in certain situations and shit.
Because as an airsofter, a lot of things you learn are basically from movies and games, but that's not always as accurate as it should be.
Most of the stuff is wrong there. So and also that was awesome to learn from him.
So let's get to what we did that day.
So one of the first things we've done, he asked us about basic safety rules, handling guns and such. Also how to hold your pistol, AR and stuff like that.
And after that we did some different stances.
How to go from a relaxed position towards the combat position.
And how to move from that position to a knee position or just sideways, forward and so on.
Because that's already stuff that's something you usually don't think about, but he clarified that to us.
And then basically you start doing it step by step until it becomes one movement, let's say. And then after that we did some cover usage, how to move from cover to cover, how to shoot from cover, and so on.
Yeah, and that was definitely one of the most interesting things, because you want to go as fast as possible towards that cover, but you also don't want to run into your cover or fall while doing it. So there is a technique for that, to do it properly, which was also learned to us. So yeah, very cool.
But also the cover usage in a way to show as less parts of your body as possible.
While standing or kneeling or whatever. After that we've done some reloading, tactical reloads, speed reloads. That was the stuff we already knew quite a lot about, and just we did some repetitions of that. But after that we went further down to room clearing, and that was the stuff we usually have a lot of discussions about how do
what's the proper way to do it,
and this is a conflict with that, and now what, and that.
So he cleared all of that stuff out. And he also told us what to say in such a scenario, because most of the time you're like, yeah, okay, I see this, or that's a situation, but what should I tell him? What is a short way to explain it, but also clear so he understands it? And then all that stuff was cleared out. The
terminology and such was all clarified to us just on a single day, so that's a lot. And then after that we've done
some stress shooting,
which was definitely one of the coolest things we've already done, and the most fun as well.
So basically you're going to exhaust your muscles by doing some push-ups, jumping jacks, and so on, and after that you're going to take shots at a target. But of course it didn't stay at that. At a certain moment he tells you to take a knee, and then he grabs you by the plate carrier and starts pulling you back, sideways, lay down, come up again, and you need to keep shooting that target.
And hitting it at least. But that didn't happen that lot. But that was something pretty cool to do.
And everything.
And, it was really shooting under stress. Something you don't get to experience a lot in Airsoft, but we see the use of it in certain situations. Like when you, for example, get to fall somewhere and you see a target, you still have to get him. So those are things, cool to learn and to see.
But overall, a lot of the stuff we learned is applicable in Airsoft, because a lot of people will say like, yeah, military tactics don't work, or the training is useless. But in my opinion, I think the same counts for my brother here, is that those trainings are really useful and also applicable in Airsoft.
Definitely, and certainly if we're talking about mil-sim events, tech sims and such, because things like communication are just the core to do that stuff, and are definitely a lot more clear to us right now.
So basically we had an awesome day with a lot of knowledge, a lot of new things we learned. Of course we didn't master it yet, but we now know what to work on and how to correct each other, because that's also an important thing. Don't train on your own, because it's hard to correct yourself.
Yeah, you have to see it from each other, what you're doing wrong, and then you can build up the pace to do it faster and better, and that's what we're going to do in the coming weeks and months and such, together with our team member Woody over there. So guys, for the fact, Delta is actually currently building what's called the Delta Survival School to get you in shape, to do some survival, to do some basic things about shooting and such, like,
with Airsoft,
like we've experienced. That is also stuff that will be available for you soon. You can find it at his website, deltasurvivalschool.com.
You can also find his link on our partner brands.
And he has also an Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, which he recently started, so you can also check that out for a lot of stuff. Besides that, make sure to check that out. Keep checking us out for these training videos.
Of course. And also make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Check out ReconBrothers.com for our monthly quality giveaways and our webshop, which is in build, because we're gonna have only the quality stuff you guys need.
And they are sometimes quite difficult to find. You will find them at our shop. So
it's a lot of work.
A lot of work, but we'll get there. So soon the shop will be there. So guys,
we'll see you on our next training videos.
Definitely.